This is the bit where it's about, well, you can see it's about that far through the book, and it's the bit where Scarlett feels that she must do the right thing, and by doing the right thing, doing the right thing is going to involve stealing the penguins from a rather small, dismal bit of the zoo. So she's gone with her friend Ellie, and it's night, well, early morning. Penguins stink. Few things can possibly smell as bad as a penguin. Maybe a wheelie bin or the boys' toilets at school, but I don't believe it. I think when we normally see them at a zoo or somewhere, someone's been around with a broom and a high-powered hose, because at 5 o'clock in the morning they are toxic. Whew, says Ellie. I nearly throw up last night's supper, but swallow and step over the side of the penguin enclosure as if I was used to mucking out fish-eating birds on a daily basis. The penguins stand in their little pool staring at me. Here, little penguin, I say to the smallest. He steps towards me and I notice that he's looking at my hand as if it's a fish. We should have brought gloves. Here, says Ellie, try this. She takes the lid from a dustbin that's been left in the corner of their pen. A new smell like a fishmonger's mixed with boys' toilets and drains wafts into the still morning air. Ellie hands me a pair of thick orange rubber gloves. Breathing only through my mouth, I reach in and take something that might once have been a sardine, and I throw it on the ground. The little penguin gobbles it up and the two bigger penguins move in for a closer look. Quick, says Ellie, grabbing the biggest one from behind. It squawks, poos and snaps at her. I hold its beak shut while Ellie lifts it up, and between us we carry it over to Sid's pushchair and, using all of Sid's straps, pin it until it stops struggling. 1 down, 2 to go. But how are we going to carry them? She asks. The little penguin fits my sweatshirt surprisingly well, and Ellie's cagoule does a neat job of containing the other large one. I fill my bag with putrid bits of fish, take the pushchair and the small penguin, while Ellie takes the other big one. And it's all fine until we reach the turnstiles. It's not that we can't walk out through the turnstiles. They work perfectly well when you're trying to get out. It's just they're not big enough for a pushchair, or a child and a penguin, or a child and a pushchair and a penguin. It's one of those chicken, fox, slug, lettuce crossing the river things. I really don't know what to do first. The idea of letting a penguin loose on the streets of Dampmouth Bay makes my blood run cold. Rats. Perhaps we're mad. Perhaps we're completely bonkers, if we think we can do this. Perhaps we should have gone to Amnesty International or the World Wildlife Fund or someone like that. And Ellie has an almost brilliant idea. Why don't they walk through the turnstiles themselves, either one at a time or all three at once? I gaze at the penguins. They've been very accommodating so far. Perhaps they'd like nothing better than a walk through a turnstile. Maybe if you wave a sardine at them? Ellie goes through first and I slot the 3 penguins into the turnstile. They stop and look up at me hopefully. Go on, I say to them. Freedom is that way. I point out of the zoo, through the turnstile, but the penguins just snap at my hand as if it was battered cod. Hand me some fish, says Ellie. I reach into the bag and something slimy slips into my fingers. I say, says Ellie when I hand it to her. I fold up the pushchair and use it to block the back of the turnstile so the penguins can't suddenly decide they want to go back to their miserable pond. Here, Pengy, here's some lovely stinky fish, says Ellie from the other side. Like people watching tennis, all 3 penguins turn in her direction. But they don't move. Come on, pretty pengies, come to Auntie Ellie. They still don't move. It's perfectly true that you can't expect a creature born to live in the wild, cold Antarctic to understand that when you push against this particular iron bar, it rolls forward and lets you through. I nudge the turnstile and it knocks into the big penguin at the back. He shuffles forward into the smaller penguin, who stamps on the little penguin, and they all move forward a nanometer. It's working, says Ellie. Crikey, she says, look at that. She's pointing to the sky. She's right. Everything's turning from black and white to colour, like someone's turned on a switch. Morning won't be long. The penguins shuffled through the turnstile and I jammed myself in the slot behind them, clutching the folded pushchair that now whiffs of pilchard. Ow! Yelly yowls. More fish, Scarlett, quick! I can't move, not until the penguins move. I push a little harder and the turnstile gives way, throwing me out of the gate onto the pavement. The penguins surround Ellie, they're studying her, expecting more fish. Perhaps they think she is a fish. A pale blue grubby fish with glasses. She looks awesome, and I don't mean in a good way. Her clothes are coated with silverfish scales and blood, suggesting a mermaid that's been caught in a hideous seaside accident, and I can't believe she can see anything through her steamed-up glasses. The penguins look pretty special too. Ellie's cagoule fits the middle one quite well, although something's going on with the hood. The little ones managed to smear a fishy slick all down the front of my sweatshirt, much like Sid after breakfast. The big one's eyeing the builder's yard next door, wondering whether to eat Ellie first or dive into a pile of sand. They all decide to eat Ellie first. Do something, she yelps. I fumble in my bag. There's practically nothing left, just some slime and crunchy bits. Tails? I hold the bag upside down and a few flakes land on the concrete. The penguins take their eyes off Ellie and scrabble to pick up the fish. Quick, I yell, get them! The big one gets right down on his belly and snuffles at the concrete, so we grab him and truss him in the pushchair. I swoop on the baby and Ellie pins the middle one down. The penguins don't seem a bit bothered.